wherever you are, whatever time it is. Welcome to the Third Pint Theory, episode 14. And you're with your hosts, Michael Donaldson, that's myself, the editor of Pursuit of Hoppiness, and my esteemed colleague,
Martin Bridges, also known as the Beer Bigwig.
He is the beer bigwig. Martin, this is an episode we've got coming up that I've been actually looking forward to for a while. And before we go any further, we'll just say it's Luke Nicholas from Epic and Steve Plowman from Hallertau. And you sat down with them in the Epic tap room. And I believe this one was driven by listener feedback.
Yeah, I think this is quite possibly the first episode that has been driven by listener feedback. Somebody came up to me after listening to one of the early episodes and said, that's really interesting. I'd love to hear more about the kind of the origins of the New Zealand craft beer scene. And that got me thinking that we should talk to some of the OGs.
Yeah, and well, it's quite interesting because when you think of the origins of New Zealand craft beer, it's often the likes of the ones that started and that are still around in the early 90s, really. 89, maybe Sunshine started and are still around. Mike's out of Taranaki, less so. And then it's like Emerson's, Galbraith's, who are in the 30-year existence. But then there's a little bit of a gap, really. And I think the more modern, and I'm not saying Galbraith's and Emerson's are not modern, but they came from a different, I guess, that English European culture. It drove those founders, Keith Galbraith and Richard Emerson, whereas Epic and Hallertau, quite American driven. And so they brought a whole new way of looking at things, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I think that sort of mid 2000s was when a huge amount of growth and development, not just in terms of size and scale, but also in terms of the sensibility and the ideas and the styles and so on came from, and those two breweries were kind of at the heart of it. Both celebrating 20 years this year.
Yep. And when we say they're kind of at the heart of that development, I think the Malthouse West Coast IPA challenge, of which they were the instigators, respectively, with Armageddon and Hallertau Maximus, in this head-to-head two-brewery invitation event in Wellington featuring two Auckland breweries, which sort of also tells you something. And that really drove kind of what's now maybe more old school, but kind of at the time, modern American IPA production in New Zealand. And I think Armageddon in particular was a very imitated beer for a long time.
And it's still around, and it's still very relevant. Armageddon still pops up in award ceremonies from time to time. I was thinking the other day, last time I had one, it feels quite old school. It's if you're thinking of kind of modern IPAs, like say Brave Tiger Milk, very pale, very lean, whereas Armageddon's got a kind of a quite generous maltiness to it. Still bucket loads of hops.
But
yeah, it's they kicked off and they really kind of accelerated the growth. And there's some great stuff during this interview. I absolutely loved doing this interview. It was a long and rambling interview. It took me quite a bit of editing to get this thing into shape. Um, but
So how many minutes would you have recorded to get roughly, I think, 60 minutes worth of
I think there's a good 15 to 20 minutes on the cutting room floor.
okay. Yeah. Um, and it's rambling is quite a good term for it, but also it's a really good look back at some sort of history that could get forgotten. And I think it is a really good kind of origin story, in some ways, in terms of just, the way those two guys and some of their cohorts at the time, and there's the likes of Stu McKinley from Yeasty Boys and Carl Vasta from Tuatara would have been others. I'm just trying to think of the time, they were going to America and discovering what was happening in America as opposed to living off that British and European sort of style beers that we had grown used to. Yeah.
Yeah, and some great stories of their adventures in the in the US, and some things that prompted some of those developments of those beers. And one of the things that absolutely blew me away was that we got to try, and it was accidental, pretty much, a 10-year-old bottle of
Yes.
the Four Horsemen of the Hopocalypse, which was this quadruple IPA, which Luke happened to have a stash of a few bottles. And,
Yeah.
and I'll leave it up to the listeners to find out what we thought of it.
Yeah, I remember it at the time. I think there were two editions of that Four Horsemen beer, and this was maybe the second one that you got to try.
I think so, because I don't think the first one went into bottles.
Yeah.
This was a 2015. Certainly, was made in 2015. We figured out from the code on the bottle. But
so 10-year-old triple IPA. Yeah, what a treat.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they claimed quadruple because there were 4 of them. I don't know what that means.
Of course. Yes. There's always a funny thing how IPAs, a single IPA is 6 or 7% and a double is 8%. But to get a triple IPA, you have to jump to double digits. So maybe at 14, it should, it's probably fair. All right, we'll probably just cross over because it is a reasonably long interview and you'd rather hear those characters than us. So we'll cross over to the Epic Tap Room and Martin in the company of Steve Plowman from Hallertau and Luke Nicholas from
Welcome to the Epic Tap Room and to Luke Nicholas and Steve Plowman. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Matt.
This is a great idea.
Everybody who's listening to this must surely know who you gentlemen are, but for our probably hundreds of overseas listeners, thousands of overseas listeners,
Countless numbers
of international visitors, could you just briefly explain who you are and why we're here?
I don't know why we're here. That's your explanation.
Indeed.
It is. I'm Luke Nicholas. I work at Epic here. I started brewing in 1997. So I guess that was your question just before. So I started out at the Cock and Bull, which was a little brew pub in Pakuranga on Tarako Drive. And I had just returned from living in California for a year and had discovered craft beer. And when I came back to New Zealand, I wanted to find it. And it was not really to be found. So I discovered that there was a little brew pub that had just opened in my neighborhood, and went down there and asked for a job because I thought I wanted to be a brewer, and did that every single weekend for a year, and eventually they employed me.
Nice.
What was the question?
I think that's a good start.
That's where I started. So then we'll fast forward nearly 30 years, and here we are.
Indeed, we are. Steve, what about you?
I started homebrewing in 1991. That finished Fat and Vader. And then I became a geologist, which I was shit at. And then I retrained as a brewer in West Australia in the early 2000s. And then my wife and I came back to New Zealand in 2005 and started Hallertau Brewery. So yeah, that was 20 years ago, a couple months ago.
And the 20th anniversary, just rolled around with a couple of 2 or 3 returning beers, which
Brought back some of the classics, yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about those. We'll talk about those in a little while, I'm sure. The Cock and Bull was I think probably the first place I drank decent beer in New Zealand. And as I arrived in New Zealand in 2007, so you'd been going for a couple of years as Epic by then. Is that right?
Epic started in 2005.
Yeah. So with probably this beer is the Epic Pale Ale. Was that the first beer?
The very first one that we released in December. So in December we'll be 20 years old.
Wow.
It's worth a party.
Yeah.
Worth a party.
I think there should be. And it was actually, I think it was probably the first decent beer I had in New Zealand in 2007 was Epic Pale Ale in the Cock and Bull in Newmarket. I think it was the Newmarket one I went into.
Yeah.
An excellent place, I thought. Certainly at the time there wasn't a huge amount else apart from your wonderful establishment.
The Malthouse was pretty one.
Monk's Habit was
Pretty good.
what was Monk's Habit for those who are probably too young to remember?
Which version?
Let's start out.
Well, it started out inspired by, I guess, Chimay. We were drinking a lot of Chimay Blue. So the first batch was 8.7%. But then we realized very quickly that our New Zealanders could not really handle that appropriately. So it did get backed off to about 7.5. But sort of we played around with it to see what people could handle. And we didn't have it in the little small tulip glass.
Yep.
And but people would still want it in pint. And that
And jugs.
and yeah, it didn't usually go very well because a lot of people, it's just beer. It's like, no, there's a lot of things going on here. There's the alcohol and the hops, which you're not used to. So, yeah, it was interesting and fun times.
Yeah, it was. I think a lot of people who got into craft beer, like in the last 10 years, won't appreciate kind of what it was like 20
Years. If I go back to Monk's Habit, it was probably one of the first commercial craft beers used Rewalker because, well, we used to get the brewers from DB coming to the Cock and Bull to have drinks to, I guess, taste sort of our beer, but also to get out of their environment to do something different. So we built a relationship with Malcolm Stratton and to a point where it's like, do you want to use some of these hops? Because they were just, because that was SARS tea.
SARS tea,
Yeah.
So he would just go, you want to use some of these and see how it works? So we just started packing those into Monk's Habit. And I think that's why that beer won Supreme Champion at the 1999 inaugural New Zealand Beer Awards, because it was just a crazy amount of hops for that time. And then it won again in 2001. So, yeah, we were one of the first to use Rewalker in this country before it was even called that.
Yeah. Then there was Sarts D and Sarts B, which became Motueka.
Yep.
That's I think it was a different time, hey, because there was so few craft beers around. People drank.
Well, basically, the only way to survive making craft beer was you had to have brew pub.
Yeah.
There's no tap lights. Too late to sell the beer. The only way you could make it sell it was do it all on site. There was an opportunity to sell on site. That didn't happen until like really late 2000.
Yep.
So it was all about creating an environment where people would come in and drink the beer.
Yes.
But then you had to teach people why it was more expensive and what the flavors were. And it was a process.
As I would have thought, as well as having to teach the drinkers, it's like how do you get staff to sell that stuff? Because they generally not come through. They probably their first exposure to it would be when it turns up on the bar, and it's like how do you educate bar staff? And because to my mind, that's always one of the big challenges in craft breweries is the education of staff to then educate customers. What did you come across in terms of that?
Finding staff that are actually genuinely interested in learning. If they like beer, and you can sit down and have a beer with them and talk about it, and they'll just soak that knowledge up. But then you've got other people that are just there for the money and to do their time, and you just got to give them the basics. So, not a perfect world.
No.
That'd be great if everyone was genuinely interested in the stuff we know.
But people do develop an interest over time. Yeah, the basics is the key. So you train the staff and a teacher, because we only started with 4 beers, and then people come in and you go, oh, I want what beer you got? So you try to, well, what beer do you normally drink? I normally Steinmate. I maybe try number 1. I normally like Line Red. Maybe try number 3. So it's all about simple questions about what I normally drink and trying to find a match to what beers you make that they're going to enjoy. Because there's no point somebody that drinks Line Red, you give them Maximus straight away. So, no. Well, sometimes not usually.
Yeah, I had many experiences, especially at beer festivals back in those days, where people would just come up and you ask them that question, what do you normally drink? It might be Line Red or Steinlager. And then they go, oh, I want to try Monk's Habit or Hops on beers. It's like, why did you make that decision? It's like,
strong as fifth.
Yeah. Without even saying that, they would just pick that, which is probably because it was the strongest. Then they'd try to go, oh, that's disgusting. It doesn't taste like the beer I normally drink. It's like, I know. You told me what you like. You should have tried this. But then you get other people that were those kind of drinkers, and then they try these big flavorful beers, and all of a sudden they'd have that moment.
Yeah.
And that's when they turn into a craft beer.
You see that.
Go, what? Beer can taste like that? And see them light up, and they're just like, this moment in their life, they're just like, and your beer could taste like that. That is so amazing. What else have you got? Oh. And that's that moment.
I said the big advocates, they should go back to all their friends and go, oh my God, guess what just happened? They're going to believe what beer can taste like this. And half the friends go, that's shit. But then there'll be a few of them go, wow, I didn't know either.
Yeah. And so there was that, I feel that I arrived in that 2007 time when there was a bit of a probably the first wave of kind of that, and Cock and Bull was a big catalyst for that. But I remember heading out to dragging myself out into the wilds of West Auckland.
Back in beyond.
Was there a track back then? What did you have to get your way through?
Well, it felt like that. It was, and I look back now, like 20 years old, the difference in if I went out to River to go to Hallertau, it was a mission, and there was Hallertau, and there was nothing else.
Come on, strawberries.
There was strawberries. But there was nothing. And now you're in the middle of a thriving metropolis.
I've been thinking something of Auckland.
I always remember that there was Cock and Bull and from there Epic. There was Hallertau, there was Galbraith's, and there was the Shakespeare. And that was that was it. So
Pretty tough on Auckland.
for quite a while, it felt like quite a while that it was at that level. Is that kind of what you felt at the time, that it was very localized?
Yeah, craft beer took a long time to get started in Auckland. Probably because it's so spread out.
Yep.
Not really a hub of anything. So, if you go out drinking, it's like, then I can go to the next place. The next place, shit, if you do that here, it's like, we're going to go to the next place. It'll be a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Today, actually, probably gets worse these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, then, therefore, a craft beer had to be a destination. So it's kind of like, you're not just sort of like skipping to the next one. It's kind of like, well, why people go? So you've got a big offering of different flavors of beers.
You've got to keep the people. Once you've got the people in, you've got to keep them. Was that what led to kind of your range? Is that you were just trying to satisfy different things for people that help?
Nah. My range was just satisfying me. It's kind of like, what do I want to brew next? Yeah. I want to make an IPA. And then I'll make an IPA. And then a double IPA.
Yeah, I remember that was actually, we'll talk, I just wanted to talk briefly about kind of, you started Epic while you were still at Cock and Bull.
Yeah.
Is that right? So what led to Epic?
It was, the Cock and Bull were getting bigger because that opened another pub and we're looking at opening more pubs. And so they got to the point where, at that stage, I had left brewing with them, went and worked for an internet company called realbeer.com.
Oh, right.
So I worked with them for about 3 years. And then the Cock and Bull were looking for some quality assurance. So I went back and helped them with quality assurance and staff training and stuff. And they were getting bigger with more pubs. And so I was involved in some brainstorming. And one of the ideas was to buy Auckland breweries because they started contract brewing beer there because the little brewery wasn't big enough to supply the pubs and where things were going. And then one of the ideas was to either build a bigger brewery or buy Auckland breweries. And that's what happened. So then I got sort of pulled back into the business and sort of was involved with overseeing of Auckland breweries and the production and the beers and stuff. And one of the mandates for me was to, make it profitable. And the capacity there was way more than Cock and Bull has ever going to use. So I suggested, why don't we make a package brand, which ultimately became Epic. And after 18 months, the owners decided that they'd rather invest in pubs and they were going to get rid of Epic. And I made them an offer to buy Epic out if I could continue to use their brewery, which the beer's still made there today.
So Auckland Brewers became Steam.
Yep, became Steam Brewing and makes Epic.
And has done for...
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Epic's always been made then.
Thinking back to some of those original beers, so I was obviously, but pretty much the first craft beer I came across when I was in New Zealand in 2007 was Epic Pale Ale. But I have a distinct memory of watching an All Blacks game in the Cock and Bull in Newmarket, drinking Mayhem, and not being very well the next day.
Did you have a bad oyster?
Wouldn't have been the Mayhem.
Wouldn't have been that you drank too much.
So what
So what are you saying about Mayhem?
No, so where did that come from?
Where?
What led to kind of...
It was for a festive brew for Havana. Gee, what year would that be? Maybe 2008. So, yeah.
Oh, no, it must have been before that.
Maybe it was 2006.
2006. It was quite early on.
And maybe it was 2006. So I just found, okay, well, let's just make a stronger version than Pale Ale. So Pale Ale was 5.4, and I think Mayhem was 5.8. And at the time, that was like really strong. You don't even remember it being that weak, do you?
No, yeah, no, it felt
It wasn't even 6%. Like the number of people that still want me to bring that beer back, I'm going, you'll be so disappointed. It's a strong pale ale. It was 5.8%.
Wow. I knew these days you could definitely call that an IPA.
Half. Anyway, it's double IPA. Yeah, so it was like I thought about it briefly a couple of times to bring it back, but people were just the memory of it is better than what it would be. You should still do it. It's a fine beer, but it's not what people remember it. Like back then, it was so strong.
Yeah, it was game changer.
Like people, like people would like when Epic Pale Ale came out, like they'd just be like, "That beer is so strong." After like 3 bottles, they didn't realize that hops were having effect on them as well.
Yeah.
5.4%. That's like 40% more than I normally drink. So it's like I don't even know how you got to that number, but
So, and talking about early beers, you've started with the 4, Phil.
Yes.
And imaginatively named 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
Do you spend a lot of time coming up with those names?
Well, it was like one of those, like, it's like, well, let's go with range of beers. And I thought, well, why don't we, because we're trying to engage with the locals, like, well, why don't we just knock them the name, we'll give them a number. And then for the first 3 months, all the locals come and try the beer and then pick a name. So the whole naming process, it's like 3 months. So you got the codes out and you got to write the name on it. So we did that, and then after 3 months, we collated it all. We took the top 3 favourite names and then had a big opening party, and everyone who came got to vote on their favourite name out of the top 3 for each beer. So that's how each beer got its name. 1 to 4. It was Lux, Statesman, Copper Tart, and Deception. So we gave them names, and no one used them. It was just so we persevered for a year or 2 with these names, but everyone just stuck with the numbers. So we're like, well, what's the point? So you just got rid of the names and just kept on with the numbers. And it's kind of worked out. We're only up to number 10 so far. So there's more numbers.
don't you have a 0?
We're 0.
You're 0.
It's gone backwards. We've just done a 2.5 as well. So, there's slots. So, yeah. The numbers seem to work for us. Yeah, it's quite fun.
I remember those first 4 beers. I was always a big fan of Statesman. And my mum was a huge fan of Deception.
Oh, nice.
And has always liked that Schwarz beer.
Because the Statesman originally, now it's a New Zealand pale, but for the first few years it had a lot of Amarillo in it.
Oh, right.
Just been to Melbourne at the James Squire Brewery.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure the
Borland, yeah.
Borland Hotel?
Speculator,
yeah.
full Amarillo.
Yeah.
Oh, Doug's beer. It was good. I was like, wow, because I hadn't seen a lot of American hops. It's like, wow, that's a cool hop. So number 2 was always going to have that hop in it.
Well,
So originally it was quite American. It was an American-New Zealand hybrid pale. We used to dry hop it in the bright beer tanks, in the chiller. So you'd buy stockings and sterilize them, and you pack them full of Amarillo pellets and tie them to the back of the door and then fill the tank up. And then unfiltered, as you're serving it, the beer will get hoppier and hoppier because there's more contact on with Amarillo. And the last little bit is the best. And then we run out. So,
The next bit should be like
really cloudy, not hoppy.
so it was a different time then. There aren't that many breweries that kind of came through at that time that are still around. What's the secret? What's the longevity? The secret to the longevity.
That's good looks. Wait. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. It's not easy making beer. And there's a lot of brands which have been around for a long time. You got Brew Moon.
Yep.
Which is still there somewhere, making beer.
Frigid Emerson.
Yeah.
Yep.
The West Coast Brewery, that's gone, eh?
Yeah, there aren't that many from. There are, as you say, there are ones that are kind of that have maybe flown under the radar a bit for time, and I'm kind of they're still there, but you didn't hear about them. Like, well, for example, Brew Moon have ticked away for a long time. They won some awards recently, and
the last week I saw that Martin Barrow Brewing Company still go.
yeah,
I was not aware of that.
You don't know that.
yeah, they got a beer in the New World Top 25.
That's where I think I saw it. It's kind of like, just don't see this stuff around. And but then again, you go to the supermarket or a liquor store, it's like, where do you start?
Exactly.
So it's like, unless you're looking for something specific.
And that's the point. In the late 2000s, there was a few craft breweries around New Zealand, but you couldn't even buy the beer. You couldn't do it. It's one of the things I did. I had a big double-door fridge, and I used to import all the beer from the rest of the country and make it all of. I tried to have the complete range as much as possible. Pink Elephant.
Yeah.
And in the fridge, so people came to our place that they could buy bottles of pretty much all the New Zealand craft beers.
I remember that.
And admittedly,
Your habit.
admittedly, I drank more than
I remember that until you just said that. I don't remember. I remember now going out to Hallertau, and that was part of the experience. Was going,
yeah,
oh hey, I've never heard of
all these.
this. I'm pulling a bit
Muslin. Like, oh my Andrew, he didn't want to send me a beer. I had something. I wanted like some brewing ingredient we had. I said, well, you send me some beer, I can definitely hook you up with this. Some sort of nutrient, cruise cider or something. So I managed to get this beer as well. I didn't send me that. I drank that. But Lamborghini, man, that was a great.
Oh, Captain Cooker when it's fresh. It's a spray.
Yeah.
That is
that's special. Makes you feel special, that beer.
Yeah. And there were some others that were around that are sadly no longer. I remember the Merg in McCardle brewing some great beers out of that, and I'm thinking from around that time, from the
like Pitch Black was it just owned it so good. It was just perfect. It was
4%,
right alcohol.
It's so delicious.
Boysenberry. It must have been one of the first kind of fruit beers to come through. Yeah. What is different now? Because it's the industry now from 20 years ago must be unrecognizable, I would have thought, or are there things that are still the same?
Well, it's basically the same people.
I think it's. I was talking to Greg the other day. Bureaucracy.
Greg McGill.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, it feels like nearly everything's been done. And if you wanted to get a beer, you could just go look for it now. It's kind of like, so there's every alcohol of IPA and levels of bitterness, like the full matrix has been filled with how it's got all the different hops and all the different combinations. And it's kind of like, well, if you wanted to make a beer today to stand out, it's kind of like, well, you think, oh, that'd be cool. It's like, oh no, well, there's this and this and this and this and this that's all sort of around the same. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Just go buy one of those. So trying to create, like, if you go back 20 years, creating something new, you're literally breaking new ground. No one's ever put those two hops together. You're insane. No one's ever made beer that bitter or that alcoholic. And it was just this arms war to where is the edge of everything. And it's kind of been reached. You can go beyond that and then it's undrinkable. But it now feels like it's all been done. And it's kind of like, well, if I have a thought about, oh, I'd really like to drink that already exists, I can just go and pull it up the shelf. So it's I don't know, that just becomes a little bit more challenging to create something totally unique.
Well, because the customer, you're right, there's been up to the boundary.
Yeah.
And just the madness and the craziness. And they've sort of starting to bounce back a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I love beer, but maybe I just want a nice bit.
Maybe I just want to drink beer.
Just a really delicious
think
beer
about it.
And not have it being the whole discussion point all night.
Yeah. Yep. But it should have always been like that. But it wasn't. And it was untapped. you got to like smell and say, oh God, I've got to check in. And everyone goes into their phones and then all of a sudden you're halfway through your pint. No one's talking about anything because they're like rating it, locations and photos. And then all of a sudden, that's antisocial. Whereas for me, I think I should be, oh, I've got this. And you talk about it for maybe a sip or two. And then that's great. You can park that now. You can have a conversation about all the other wonderful things that you can talk about, rather than just being totally focused on the beer. Ooh, too many tickets, man.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I think that whole, it's all been done.
I know that it hasn't, but it feels like that.
It does, because you think, that feels like that there is in order to make it feel like it is something new, people are just putting a different name,
different stick
on something that has been done before. We've got Bright IPA, which is like, hang on a minute, isn't that what we had?
Before the hazy.
Isn't that just like we've got West Coast Pilsner, which is that really different to India Pale Lager? Is that
IPA?
Cool IPA. So it does feel like there is a bit of, oh yeah, I've invented this new thing by putting a new name on something that existed before.
And it sort of happens to the point where like those sort of things were turning up faster and for disappearing faster as well.
Yeah.
So it's new. Oh, it's gone out. I want to say. So if you was chasing the phantom, if you like, about whatever drinking you, it's going to come back to people. Yeah, that's nice. They like.
So is that something is that your prediction for the future, is that will kind of collapse? There's like that big bang.
We realised
comes back.
We realised we're not so much, a craft brewery. We're a restaurant that happens to make its own beer, which tastes nice. And that's sort of what we're focused on, creating that environment. Like, you can get lots of different beers here, but it's a restaurant and food's delicious.
I want to talk about West Coast IPA, because you're for those who are just listening to this and not watching, Luke has just thankfully discovered that there was a little bit more in the bottle of epically, fiercely intolerant
That's delicious.
imperial stout.
Recent batch, or is that the
It's
original?
been in for 5 years.
So I remember
That's
that.
old.
I remember that beer coming out.
Older than that.
Because the dude came over from, I remember the guy from Scotland, from Fierce Beer came over. It was a really lovely dude. Yeah. And you made that beer. It's a rather, well,
It's an imperial.
that's a 12% beer.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful, beautiful imperial stout. Anyway, I was about to talk about West Coast IPA because,
I thought that's where you were leading.
yeah.
Because I'm going to interrupt you, because it was back when we did a Maximus and Armageddon. Like, we were pioneers. We were like going out into no man's land and go, holy shit, we've added so many hops.
But after we did that 2008 Craft Brewers Conference in San Diego, and we tried the Green Flash West Coast IPA, and then somebody was like, oh, there's the Green Flash guys over there. And we're like, okay. We've actually followed them around for 2 days, bothering the shit out of them, until they told us how do you make that? How do you draw? So, but we wore them down to the point, like, okay. Can you do this and this and this and this and this? All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah. But when we came back here and we made, like, those beers were the next level up. And they were just face melting and bitter and hoppy and just like.
So that was Armageddon and Maximus.
Yeah.
And that was the first West Coast IPA challenge.
Yeah.
And
Because all that felt was importing to beer that holders was bringing some of those beers in over time.
Yeah.
But that's ruined, eh?
Yeah.
That travel just felt a bit. So people thought they knew what the beer style was, and us bringing in actual freshly made local examples at the same caliber, people were like, well, I don't know.
So was it that trip to the US that triggered?
Yes, we were triggered.
Was that the same trip we ended up at Toronado drinking Pliny?
Toronado, San Francisco, or
Yeah.
San Diego?
San Francisco. Do we go to San Francisco first?
Yeah.
You're in there with Toronado. You've been there?
I have been to the Toronado.
It's the best, but the people there, they're quite so they're busy.
They work.
And we took Neil Miller, God rest his soul.
Yes.
And they made him cry because he was trying to have Neil, he's just trying to chat about beer. Like, dude, order a beer, we'll get the fuck out of my pub. And Neil's upset. It's like, oh, you can't talk to them. She's going to order you beer. We'll just get the fuck out. No, sorry.
Yeah, it's Toronado's in this awesome beer bar in San Francisco that is legendary. I think they're still cash only. And
It's only got bought by crypto, bro.
supposedly, but I still can't quite figure out if that's actually happened or not. Because I know that it was up for sale, and then there was some crypto dude that had supposedly bought it, but nothing appears to have changed. And it's unclear to me whether that has actually happened or not.
Well, it's still, for me, it's the best beer bar in the world. It's fine. It's so good because they've got so many taps and they sell so much beer and it changes all the time. So,
And it's quite cheap comparatively.
it's not expensive. And one week it's like just 50 Belgians on tap. And next week it's something. It's just constantly evolving.
Bali Festival.
And it's delicious, like burritos next door.
Yeah, it is fantastic. So how did those beers
having these
flashbacks to the Toronado?
Thinking like Dave Keane, who I guess used to own it. Like, hey, Dave, how's it going? He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm here for this. It's like, hold on a minute. Just fair 15, 20 minutes, come out of the cellar, like dusting off a bottle. It's like, I've got this. It's like, where did you get that from? I brought it back from Belgium on my last trip. It's so, what? They just bring out all these amazing things. Another time I was there, 2010, and Faith No More had just played in New Zealand. We provided some epic pale ale and Armageddon backstage for them. Got talking to Billy Gould, the bass player. Anyway, I end up with his number. He goes, I'll be back in San Francisco in 3 weeks. I said, I'll be there in 3 weeks. He goes, send me a message. I live right behind the Toronado. I'm like, Toronado? Who knows? So anyway, I'm drinking the Toronado with my brother, who was living in San Francisco at the time, and must have had at least a couple of hours, and the thought pops into my head. I go, dude, the bass player from Faith No More gave me his number. He said he'd pop down if I text him. 10 minutes later, Billy Gould's in the bar drinking Pliny with us. It was just like, what is happening right now? Yes, I've got some fond memories of the Toronado. I think the first time I went there, we did a vertical tasting of Adam from Hair of the Dog. Don't know if you had tried that. I got to try 17 different batches for that. Did a Dougal Magnum night there where they just brought out craziness. So yeah, Toronado's a fun place.
It is a fun place, and if anybody is ever in San Francisco, they should go to the Toronado. But make sure you take cash.
Yes.
And that's another story.
But Toronado was the place I learned about tipping in America.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, yes.
Was that? In the early days, it was kind of like, my round, I had like 6 beers, please. Yeah, thanks. I forgot to tip.
Oof.
I tell you what, I was invisible. I could not buy another beer the whole night. No one would serve me. And so I learned from that. Next time, $20 tip. You could just glance at the bar and they go, how many? That's like, the bar's 4 people deep because I gave them the massive tip to start with. They're just like, what you want? And then after that, you just go back to $1 a glass.
Very good.
So I learned the hard way and then recovered quite well.
But at least here you learned.
Yes.
It was an educational experience.
It definitely was. Of the night beer. Anyway, enough of my Toronado story.
No, that's cool. So how did people react? I can't really remember. I remember those Armageddon and Maximus popping up. But in general, how did people react when you kind of went to what at the time was insane amounts of hops? Did people go, this is what we've been waiting for?
But it was like, was it Colin?
Yeah.
Colin, like, big fan of the beers. Is like, did these beers amazing? We have to push them, make sure everyone knows about it. Let's have a competition.
Yeah.
Let's come into the Malthouse and we'll get everyone to drink all these beers so everyone knows how awesome they are. Because people were a little bit like, oh, that's weird. I can't really drink that. It's quite hoppy. It's quite bitter. It's like, well, that's the point. So Colin was like, well, let's get these beers in the public realm and just make it, give them a profile. And that's how the West Coast IPA challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's harder for you because you didn't have a brew pub.
Correct.
So you're trying to put it in a bottle and say, hey, well, we know you have to pay $20 a six-pack, but it's the choppy beer.
Yeah.
And those in 500ml bottles.
Yeah. But we didn't follow it till the next year. So we had the kegs that we brewed at your brewery.
Yeah.
And then the next year.
Yeah.
But then it must have been 3 or 4 years before we could actually make Armageddon all year round, but after the hop shortage.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of like, we could only get so much of this hop or so much of that hop. And one year I tried substituting, so we've still got Mosaic and that recipe from the leftover of that. And yeah, like we could, like I think we started out, I was like, oh, we can get enough hops for three months of like Armageddon, and the next year it was like 4, and then it was 6, and then it was 9, and it's like, yeah, we can make it all year round. So they were challenging. Well, that's why it was called Armageddon, because it was the time where you've got no hop contract, there's a hop shortage, it's all over. So,
and you had more sway than me, because the Maximus, the original, just shut out. I couldn't get any of the hops on. So I bought it back as a different beer, because I can get some hops, and then I'm going to use New Zealand hops, because I just can't rely on the American hop to be available. So that's when Maximus changed so much. So I bought it back last year as original.
Yeah.
There's a hop from gone. It's miserable.
it was.
And that has changed.
Yeah, it has now.
There's now.
Well, they're pulling them out left, right, centre.
Now you can sit back and go, so I want to buy this much. What price are you going to give me? And no. What's your best price?
Yeah. Or I can go to the other guys like, yeah, you're going to give me a better price.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, I guess, looking at the last 20 years, because when Epic started with Epic Pale Ale, which is 100% Cascade, we were able to land US hops in the brewery for $8 a kilo. And New Zealand grown Cascade was $35.
Wow.
And it was just like, and at the time, I think the growers were getting like $1 a pound or something. And the US hop growers, like it was just kind of like, it was the end. But then craft beer started to sort of drag them up, and it all became golden. But now we're at that, we've sort of hit that peak, and it's coming down. And it's going to, I believe we've still got another 18 months to 2 years of some really, really harsh times with hops and craft beer. And there's still a lot of hops to come out, because even when they pull out 10, 20% each year at the moment for what hops are available, the demand's dropping faster than they can actually pull them out. So there's...
And the demand for the hobby beer is dropping.
Yeah. So it's
a lot of our hops in a zero alcohol beer now.
No. No, it definitely... it's weird, hey, watching that, because I remember those days of the hop shortage, and everybody's like scrabbling around. There were those blends of
loss. We swept the floor.
Falconer's Flight.
Falconer's Flight. I remember that one.
What is it? There was, we've got no Centennial, but if you blend 20% Columbus and 80% Cascade, it kind of makes something like Centennial. So just do it like that. It was like, what?
And it was like, so then it was like, oh my God, we're going to plant all this stuff. We're going to plant, there's the demand is skyrocketing. It'll never end.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it kind of ended, and suddenly they were like massive oversupply.
Well, when we were making Maximus and Armageddon, and the hop shortage happened, like literally right at that time. A year later, when I went to package Armageddon in the bottle, the price had gone up to $110 a kilo.
That's insane. That's
Yeah.
like
From $8.
Yeah, from
$8.
yeah.
That's just
So to go from nothing to we had a fire to there's now a global hop shortage, and it's just like people on this going, huh, that's quite bad.
oh, we'll talk about this
Why?
because it's
If
This
it's
is-
lager.
a bit. I remember the time. I remember that. That was exactly the reaction. People had that reaction. Like, I picked lager.
And at the time, no one knew about it.
No.
The really interesting thing was the first batch I made, I put it into green bowls.
I don't remember that.
First batch, green bowls. Two things happened. One,
Skunked out.
it was skunked before it made it into the case.
Yeah, that's the freezing lights in the brewery.
Pasteurizer, lights. And it's like, popped over, it was like, fuck.
First
It was a bad idea. But then, when I was doing tastings in the supermarkets, because I only made this 18 months after Epic started.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that being around there that
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
Man.
You don't remember that.
And I'd stand in supermarkets week after week, liquor stores, here, try my pale ale, and people would be like, oh, can't even drink, man. It smells more like wine. What's with the flowers in it? Like, here, do you want to try the lager? Nah. And they just grab a 6-pack of it. It's just like, because it was in a green bottle. You didn't even try it. Well, I know it's not going to be that bad.
I like lager.
But so the first batch was really easy to sell because it was in a green bottle, and people just go, "Yeah, give that a try." And then we put in brown bottles, and then it became a bit harder to sell because it didn't have that visual cue that this is a lager and you're going to love it. But you know, it was fully skunked, eh?
So for people who are listening and don't know what on earth we're talking about, the hop compounds within the hops don't like light,
They do not.
and green bottles do not filter out the relevant wavelengths.
Well, they're better than clear bottles, but they're not very good.
No, but brown bottles do.
Brown bottles do the job.
Yeah,
Do fun.
but
Yeah, too.
cans
The
work.
only thing cans that they're at.
Yes. I prefer glass.
There's a whole other episode of
They really own it.
why
Yeah, that discussion's not opposite.
I got told I'm not allowed to talk about it in public.
Same.
but this is a really hoppy lager.
And dry hops.
It's a beautiful lager.
Oh,
I keep forgetting how good it is
Yeah,
because
it's not very bitter, but it's very hoppy.
because I forget that unfortunately I'm still completely conditioned into pale ales, IPAs out of Epic, and I forget that this is a really excellent, clean, hoppy.
Oh, I could hook up our Bamberg style Bocker up there if you want a little taste.
No. When did you do that?
2018. No, I think we've paid something like 21. I've only got like 5 litres worth in a keg.
I didn't install that.
Epic loves bacon.
Oh,
bacon.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember Epic loves bacon. That's
That's
great.
right.
Yeah, well, we banked some kegs and shit, put them on probably back in May, and it just sat there. And then all of a sudden, a group of people got onto it every week. It was exactly the same number of pints. Bang. It's just like, this is awesome. Then it ran out, and then they got really, really angry.
Because I had my honeymoon in early 2000. Got married in 2005. And on the honeymoon, went to a town called Bamberg, which has the best, surviving example of Baroque architecture anywhere in Europe. It also happens to have a lot of breweries.
Ah,
Yeah.
that'll be the geologist that you're coming out.
So that's my wife is the architecture. And then, wow, and these breweries. I drank all this Shrinkler and the fucking Special. Came back to my brewery in Australia and brewed Shrinkler rip-off. And it turned out so good. no one drank it.
Correct.
So, I was like, this is so, just try it. What? That's not bacon.
Yes.
In a good way.
So I didn't drink all of it.
Yeah, no.
I never brewed myself.
I've brewed it twice over 10 years.
It is a challenging beer for people who've not.
I think the reason it works in here is because you've got a choice of lager, pale ale, hazy pale ale, APA, IPA, IPA, hazy IPA, double IPA. And when we put that on, it's like, oh, the relief. And on the package, we called it a smoked IPA. There was no hops in it. But when we put it on here, I just put smoked lager and people like, fuck, if that's, it's another lager, we'll try the other lager.
Yeah.
They're talking of hops, whatever. The One Trick Pony series. Oh, and look at this. There's a magical unicorn. Magical unicorn. Is that a continuation of the One Trick Pony?
Part of the One Trick Pony series.
Oh, look at it. It still has the.
This artwork is painted in the bathroom. It was painted by my daughter.
Oh, keeping it in the family.
Yeah, we were looking for a mural and some ideas. I just said, paint the unicorn in the bathroom. I was trying to designate it more as a woman's toilet, because you've got men's toilets outside, but men use the women's toilets in here. And so we just wanted to demonize it.
Yeah, it works. It's not.
With a pink unicorn. Well, suppose it works. So what was that kind of a bit of a
One Trick Pony?
Just a bit of self-deprecating humor?
You can say that.
But you're not, as is clearly as we, lager, smoked beer.
Yeah,
we've had an imperial stout.
Yeah. There are things that I don't enjoy, but there are other styles.
Shaving.
Because we should also try the Continent, which you probably haven't tried, which is a Belgian strong bottom ale inspired beer.
It's a lot like 15.
But I only made it for me, because when I do tastings, you've got all these IPAs, pale ales, and double IPAs. You get palate fatigue. So I thought, I'm going to make this really, really lean, dry, slightly Belgian.
What yeast do you use?
Is it the BE 256 from Benjamin's?
Benjamin.
Is it? Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. I get them confused.
I wasn't actually planning on using that, but we were getting some yeast set from somewhere. It got destroyed in transit. I panicked and I had to get something. And then I fermented it too cool, and I didn't quite get what I wanted out of it. But it's fine.
24.
Yeah. But I didn't want it. I didn't know how much banana it was going to throw. So I was like,
Which should you do that?
probably 24.
It's different.
I was going to ferment I can't remember the strain I was going to get. I was going to ferment it at like 28 or 29. Hot, fast. Might have been the shoot yeast or something.
Oh, yeah.
But I was just like, handbrake, no, I don't want to work my side. It didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it, but it does exactly the job I want. So when you're doing a tasting and you got either big, strong stouts or big hoppy beers,
Just lean and crisp.
your palate just gets worn out, and you bring this, it's like, oh, I can taste things again.
So you've not gone down the sour route, though?
No.
I had it. Shane says no.
No. I had a negative experience. I went to a sour festival. It was 102 degrees. It was just down the road from Stone Brewing. What was the place called? Was it called Churchill's? The place.
No, you haven't been there.
It was jam-packed, like everyone's sitting, like benches and stuff. 102 outside. The air conditioning stops working.
Oh, no.
They're bringing you flights of like 12 sours. So you're overheating.
Did you have a bottle of Pepto?
I tell you what, it's where I went. I peeled out of this sour festival. Like I think the alien is going to bust out of this hole, and all the acid is going to go on the floor, and it's going to go through every deck of the spaceship, and it's just going to be amazing. I had to go. It was horrible. Like I enjoy sours in a bottle share. I'm only having a little taste, but to drink a whole bottle, I don't think I could do that anymore.
No, that's what it sours. You know, the volume you consume and still enjoy is
It's so tiny.
very small.
Yeah.
Like it's a delicious flavour,
Yes.
but a little bit is enough.
No, my experience was so negative that it scarred me. I just couldn't even go there.
Yeah. Interesting. Because you've done a few kind of more, not so much big sours, but certainly some in that kind of farmhousey kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, we started doing Port Noir 2009. It's not necessarily sour. It's just a porter that's aged in local red wine barrels of Brettanomyces in them. I really like that beer because it's got a little bit of tartness. It's dry. And then couldn't sell that. So we, it was early 2000s, no, 2010, we started doing Funkinane.
Yep.
Which is quite like the Rodenbach. So those standards, forget the shots in New Zealand beers from that. So it's quite the multi-dark beer that goes in barrels for about a year and a half. Inoculated with actually Lamborghini, a 6-bit Lamborghini, Frank beer, and put all the grapes on the Funkinane. So thank you, Master guys. And I love that beer because it's malty, it's sort of sweet and sour. But 2018, we did a double batch and we got COVID, and then it just stopped selling. You couldn't sell the volume anymore.
Yeah.
So we did it, I think 2019, 20, 21. We had it on barrels all through lockdown. We thought, well, it's actually gone too far. It's too sour now. So we actually turned that into a whiskey.
Okay.
So we're going to have, in a year or two, Funkinane whiskey coming out. But we've stopped doing it as a beer because you couldn't sell.
Yeah.
And sales were just miserable.
But Port Noir came back as part of the 20th anniversary.
Yes.
And
Bottle beer. Sooner than right.
they did. I remember one of my favourite stories is about Port Noir. I remember back in the day, and I cannot remember what year it was, and people who listen, talking to podcasts and people who listen to a lot of homebrewers in New Zealand listened to podcasts from the Brewing Network in the States.
Yes.
And one of the stars of the podcast was Jamil Zainashev. And I remember Jamil came over to New Zealand. It must have been kind of mid-2000s, I think. No.
Late 2000s?
Late 2000s, about 2010 maybe.
Joe was hanging around because he came into our place.
Yeah. And I remember I brought him.
Nicest
Jamil is an awesome dude, and I brought him out to
of course, yes.
to Hallertau, and he had the Port Noir and was absolutely raving about it, and was I could sell so much of this in the States, and at that time we were kind of, certainly I felt that we looked to the US as leading the way in terms of where beer was going, and New Zealand was like getting a lot of inspiration from the US, and Jamil coming over and saying, "Oh my God, this beer you're making here, it could be awesome in the States," I thought was just such a great feedback. And I remember, what have we got here in the Magical Unicorn?
Mosaic. 100% mosaic. So one trick unicorn. One trick unicorn. Magical pony. The One Trick Pony series was all about just highlighting a single hop variety.
Right. And this one is Mosaic.
Just mosaic.
It's so oily.
Mosaic. Kettle, whirlpool, dry hop.
Very cool. And it is a really nice beer. It's very definitely Mosaic. You couldn't say that it was anything else.
Correct.
It really is, eh?
So, one last thing I do want to talk about is the beer that you just shoved in a thing over there. Let's do that, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll wrap up. So, the beer that Luke is currently pouring is a bit of a legend within the New Zealand beer industry. This is the Four Horsemen of the Hopocalypse, and it is described on the label here as an intergalactic imperial India Pale Ale. And it is a mere 14% alcohol.
Read it like the address label.
So the address label. The address label says it was from 666 Shady Lane, Dodgeville, the Badlands.
Legal front had that A address to make it a real address.
So
I forgot about that.
It's a bad lad.
That's where it tastes like it came from.
I know.
So tell us, gentlemen, as two of the Four Horsemen, 50% of the horsemen, please
Let's come back.
tell us about this beer.
It's nearly a little woody. Like a little.
That is so impressive.
What year was it?
What does it should say on the bottle of? There should be a stamp on it.
Black on black.
Actually, our label kind of probably wasn't working at that.
Probably for good reason.
I'm hearing.
So tell what's the story? What is this beer, and why?
I guess it was sort of the next natural
15. 10.
So this is a 10-year-old beer.
10 years old. How can it still taste hoppy?
Not quite now. Well, it started off extremely hoppy. So, who are the Four Horsemen? Obviously, you were two of them.
And Kelly Ryan, who was working for Epic at the time, and Joe from Liberty. So I think this was the natural sort of progression.
Don't forget about we had the jockey, Colin Malon. That jockey. What that meant to look like, I don't understand.
Yeah. We go a lot of places with that.
Yeah, for not.
Yeah, so I guess with what we did with the IPA thing, it was kind of like, if you extrapolate this point, because I guess Hop Zombie had come out in 2011, then if you sort of extrapolated, what is the craziest hoppy beverage we can possibly make? Joe was making big crazy beers. Steve was making crazy beers. Kelly was working for me. We worked together on Hop Zombie, so it was kind of like we got to that place with double IPAs. Yeah, we can sell those. What does it look like if you go all the way
Where is the ceiling?
into Galactic? And this happened. I don't know what the yield was like.
It was miserable.
No, I know it was miserable, but
We did it 3 times, I think.
two,
3.
So this was brewed at Hallertau.
Yes. It was brewed at Hallertau. Then we did the first one in the old brewery.
yeah. So, yeah, it's like,
And you were like the hop fairies. The bag of hops, sand hops, people's faces, hoppers, mashed toe.
I probably got some photos on my phone of that.
It's
It's at the very edge. Like, that should not be bad, but just
It works. It's actually working better now, I think.
it was. I remember at the time it was
undrinkable.
it was pretty confronting. I remember there was a launch event at the place in Ponsonby.
Yes.
Whatever, through the door that appeared to lead nowhere.
I forgot about that.
I can't even.
Oh, that was Golden Door.
You got
Golden Dawn.
Yes,
Golden Dawn. That was where there was a launch event there.
Yes.
This beer was like, oh my God, what is this thing? And now it's a barley wine. It's not a barley wine. It's a fresh American barley wine.
It had barley wine, my character.
It's fresh.
Fresh paper. It is. And look at the head. The
It's not even that oxidized.
It's all about that differentiated richness and just this pellet weight rather than Cavill?
So I am. Those of you who are watching, listening to this, you are missing out. I'm very sad to say that this is. I am very
Blown away.
pleased. That what a way to finish is on a beer that should finish you.
Got so many more beers to try.
We do, but unfortunately, our listeners
Are getting thirsty.
are getting thirsty, and they should be. They should go out and buy
One of those.
well, you can't find any of. Can you? Is there still any of the Apocalypse?
Well, you can't say if not, but I'd highly doubt it. You never know.
We could be sitting on the back of someone's shelf going, this isn't sold for 10 years. We'll put it on sale.
Thank you very much. It's been, as it always is, a pleasure. And
Thank you.
And I always learn something in all of these interviews. There's been some fascinating new insights there, and I got to taste 10-year-old Four Horsemen, which tastes absolutely stupendous, given that it's a 10-year-old hoppy beer. Thank you very much, Steve, Luke. It's been emotional. And thank you very much for your time. And we'll end it there.
Well, Martin, I tell you what, hearing Luke talk about Monk's Habit just took me back. And for anyone who didn't get the experience of living in Auckland at the time when you could still get Monk's Habit at the Cock and Bull, it was a fantastic beer that sort of changed a lot over time. But man, it used to win awards. It was, such a good beer.
Yeah, I only picked it up kind of at the end of its life, I guess. I arrived in New Zealand in 2007. I think it was probably kind of so it had been through its transformation over that time. It was big and hoppy, not very Belgian. No, it was like the Monk's Habit bit had kind of. It was like, what? Why are they referring to this beer like a Belgian? It's just a big hoppy.
The interesting thing, I do love those stories from that era, and just that whole thing with Luke sort of saying to the Cock and Bull guys, you should do a packaged product, and they're like, don't know. And look at what he made of it. Okay, admittedly, and I think we can't gloss over the fact that, Epic hit the skids a couple of years ago and went into liquidation and got sold. But it's been an enduring brand, and Luke's been part of that for that entire 20 years. Like, it is one of those brands that is synonymous with the person who created it, I think. And his personality lives through that brand. The whole more hops needs more hops.
It was I thought it was just such a great entertaining interview. I was reflecting on the amount of name dropping that was going on, not in a kind of a boast.
No, just remembering.
Malcolm Stratton from DB, a legendary from DB, Joe Wood from Liberty, and Kelly Ryan, the legendary figure in the New Zealand beer industry. Even Billy Gould, the bass player from Faith No More, got a shout out, as well as Jamil Zen, chef and the Brewing Network crew from the USA. Everybody got a mention in there somewhere. I thought it was outstanding. Oh, and don't forget Colin Mallon, the jockey from the.
Hello, Colin, if you're listening. Yes,
cheers, Paul.
Excellent stuff. And it was really good to sort of do it in a that sort of down memory lane kind of thing. Really. And the Epic taproom was looking good on the video, I have to say.
Yeah. If those of you watching it on the video, with the aircraft nose cone up on the wall. It's a great spot. If you're in Auckland, I think they're open kind of weekends, Thursday onwards, maybe.
Yeah.
Nice little outside space. And if you go into Mount Smart or to the Speedway, that's a good place to drop it beforehand.
Yeah, and the Warriors during winter. And on that note, Hallertau is still another place that is absolutely worth a visit. Out at we sort of talked about that maybe a few episodes back. Around maybe the New World Awards, we were talking about Hallertau and the Statesman popping up in those awards. And there's another, like, how relevant this brewery still is, that 20 years on, a core range beer like the number 2 Statesman is still picking up awards. I think it's great. Testament to the quality. And some, I was just thinking, some interesting brewers have gone through there at Hallertau, and including Simon Nicholas, who went on to start Hop Federation, which sadly we talked about the other week has hit its demise. And Joe Wood used to brew there when they had a kind of a sort of a joint business going before Liberty moved out to Helensville. Stephen Wood, I think, who got his own brewery, Double Cone, down in Queenstown, and Dave Huff, who's now at Urgonaut. So yeah, like I think a lot of, and there's probably others there, like the current brewer.
Paddy Malloy, he went off to the Eagles is back at Hallertau, I believe now. So
yeah. So like really good brewers came through that establishment, which I think is fantastic. Like. And it was the same with like Renaissance back in the day, that that a string of good brewers, including Soren Eriksson and Jason Bathgate, Sean Moss is the current brewer. There was somebody else, Matt Dainty, who went on to start his own place. It's interesting how certain institutions they're the equivalent of teaching hospitals or something. Yeah. Very good. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks. You will notice that the episodes are just spreading out a little bit now as we catch our breath. But Martin's paid a visit to Sawmill to talk to them. So that could be next cab off the rank, or we could do another Beervana.
Yeah, then we've still got a few of our Beervana Q&A sessions to get out there for those of you who weren't able to be at Beervana for those. I think there's some really great insights and really good chats with brewers. So we'll be getting those out over the next few weeks as well.
Yeah, and then we're going to take a wee break for Christmas, I think, and regather. Anyway, episode 14 in the can. Thank you, everyone who's with us, listening. And as always, get in touch. Let us know your ideas. We always want to hear from you.
Absolutely. This was an episode that was built on listener feedback. So get in touch and let us know what you want to hear.
All right. Okay, Martin, thank you so much. And I will catch you next time around for whatever episode it is.
Absolutely.
All right. See you later.
Cheers.